Hey. How y'all doing today? So yeah, I'm just chilling right now. My I was doing some Polish lessons earlier with this. So yeah, it's like how to wake up. All right. Well, that's not what we're here to talk about, right? We're here to talk about the crazy thing that's been going on lately. Because I need to talk about what happened with. Hold on a second. Let me adjust my camera. So yeah, seems like we have a lot to talk about, man. Seems like we have a lot to talk about. First, we all know what happened in December 3rd. You just like the new year just started, and then before you know it, the president just kidnapped another president in South America. Could you imagine you waking up and all you see is like a whole bunch of freaking Delta Force all around in your bed, waving at you like hi, snatch your ass up like a freaking baby. that's, that's some scary shit, man. That's some scary stuff. So we're gonna talk about the whole Venezuela things going on. Some hip hop news. We're gonna talk about 50 Cent. He's at it again. This time, Clarice, which is Papoose' girlfriend, caught some stray. And I feel bad for that girl. But hey, it is what it is. So there's that. And then what else we're gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about like the hypocrisy of some of the people that's crying foul, right? Venezuelans are celebrating. And then a little bit of dating culture and all that stuff. So yeah, let's start the show, shall we? All right. First thing first, let's talk about 50 Cent. So we all aware that 50 Cent's been making a lot of he's been ending career lately, right? Or whoever try to start their career again, he's not giving them a chance. First, you had Ja Rule try to get into the mix. Of course, every time 50's name's mentioned, he figured out, hey, the guy who actually had the power to destroy my career should have the power to revive it. So whatever 50 says into, he's going to have something to say about it. Because, he's like a bitter baby mama. But unfortunately, every time he opens his mouth, the fans just trash him, as always. What up? How you doing, Jackie? So I feel bad for the guy. Could you imagine, right? Your name was Ja Rule. You were on top of your game for years. And then some dudes in your neighborhood just came out of nowhere, right? Start talking smack about you. You try to blackball him. You try to make sure that he doesn't rise to power. Yet he succeeded. Not only he succeeded, he actually destroyed your career afterward. Yes, you have every right to be bitter. And every time you try to forget about it, try to make a comeback, you try to like walk away from that beef, this dude makes sure that he has his foot on your neck the whole freaking time till you become irrelevant. Hell yeah, I'd be pissed off. Hell yeah, I would be bitter too. So yeah, I understand you, Ja Rule. I understand why you feel that way. But obviously, he's not the only one that's been, throwing shots at 50 Cent. And ever since that 50 came out with that documentary, that was a huge success. You had motherfuckers come through like, try to, on the side note, try to defend Diddy, acting like they're not defending Diddy, like, nah, bro, you don't do this to another black man, all this other crap. And 50 Cent ain't taking no prisoner. You had the 10-year citizens, which is like, grown-ass men on their late 40s and 50s dressing like teenagers. And then, and 50 had to like put the smack on them, right? And they came up with a freestyle. And Fabulous verse was nice. I gotta admit, Fabulous, he threw some nice shot at 50 Cent and everything like that. And people expecting 50 Cent to respond. He's like, nah, I'm not gonna get into the booth with you niggas. Why would I want to do that? It doesn't benefit me to go back and forth with you on a booth. Yeah, I'm a rapper, but I'm more than a rapper. Why would I do that when I can just destroy you with some memes? Which is the same thing, really. Because 50 Cent now, he's no longer like, wasting his time going back and forth with niggas with songs. That's not what he does. That was like in the 2000s. He got way better tools now to end your career. So why the hell would he try to go back and forth with you on the booth? For what? To prove that he's a better lyricist? Papoose is Fabulous is a good lyricist. So what the hell does that really got him as far as money? Right? Nothing. Right? You have Papoose decided to throw his ass on the ring as well, too, trying to throw a shot at 50. Yeah, Papoose is a way better lyricist than 50. What had his lyricism got him? Nothing. Nothing. So therefore, it's like being a better lyricist doesn't mean that you're actually gonna win the war or anything like that, right? And 50 Cent is very strategic. This dude doesn't take L, and if he can avoid it, he's not gonna get into a field with you where you have any advantage, right? Like think about it, right? Think about the strategy when he was beefing with Ja Rule and Jadakiss and all that stuff, right? Jadakiss was a way better lyricist than him, and he was making moves. He was like, that song Checkmate, that was pretty awesome, right? And then you had like Sheet Lou jumping into the beef. Listen, they were whooping 50's ass on that battle. What did 50 do? He started trolling them. That's when he first came out with thisis50.com, right? He was trolling Fat Joe, and then that was working for him. He was making little cartoons about them. This guy, he's freaking smart. What the actual dog are you yapping about? I'm yapping about because it's my fucking channel, nigga. What the fuck? Right? So then now, 50's not gonna get in the booth with these motherfuckers. So then therefore, he's gonna fucking do what the hell he does to win. So then now you had not Fabulous, right? So he's still haven't responded to Fabulous. He still haven't responded to them 10-year citizen because he doesn't have to. And then now you had Papoose. So Papoose decided to troll him and all that stuff, right? Threw some shots at him, do that AI generated stuff. And then what did he do? He just say a couple of stuff like, say some shit like about all Papoose girls deal with, like, these are the type of chick, like, they're handsome, right? Like they look like dudes and stuff. So of course, Papoose girlfriend, she had to jump into the mix because that's her man. She's trying to defend her man and all that stuff. And yeah, 50 kind of slap her around a little bit. Not like, literally, but 50 kind of like, pretty much like troll her a little bit and stuff like that. And then she was getting dragged on the social media. So now, and which sucks, right? This is what I think about the whole relationship with Clarice, which is the boxer that's actually now dating Papoose. And I think she's trying really, really hard to make things work with Papoose, right? And for good reason, because Papoose come across as a guy that's very romantic. He's, like her and Remy Ma, him and Remy Ma for a while, they had this whole like, black power couple thing, that's what a black man should be, that stuff, right? When it comes to treating his queen, right? He's very pro blackity black, right? And what did Remy do? Remy cheated on his ass. It just show you, man, like there is no playbook when it comes to keeping a woman, right? There is no all these dating coach telling you what you need to do, blah blah blah. Listen, the only thing you need to do as a man is to focus on your grind and to actually become a better person. And it doesn't matter if you're a good dude, if you're a bad dude. If she was meant to stay, she will stay. If she was meant to go. But you cannot you cannot focus you all revolve you around, your life around a chick, try to make a chick stay with you. It doesn't work that way. You just gotta be the better version of yourself, and then continue on your journey. And if at some point on your journey she decides to get out of that car, you let her. Go catch an Uber somewhere. Just continue in your journey. Focus on your journey. So yeah, so Clarice, poor girl, she tried to defend her men and all that stuff. And but I don't think everything's all rosy for her, right? Because Christmas came through, and Papoose was spending that time with quote unquote his family. And hold and behold, this dude was caught shopping with his ex, with Remy. Like, what the dude? So I thought you were supposed to like you got your new chick and all that stuff, right? Try to make things out, work out with her. But no, Remy got a leash on him. Remy Ma got a leash on Papoose, and now it feels like he's working things out or try to get back with his ex and all that stuff. And now having Clarice looking stupid as hell. What the topic I'm on? I'm on many topic, right? I'm talking about the beef with 50 Cent. He's beefing with all these people, and now I'm talking about Papoose, and then his drama going on with his girl and his ex and all that stuff. And then and then you have all these things, right? But anyway, so now imagine this, right? So as a chick, right? Let's say, Clarice, she got her crap together, right? She's just chilling, freaking she got her her $1 million deals. She's a boxing champion and all that stuff. And then now she's involved with Papoose, and then Remy Ma is not letting that nigga go because she knows that she's not gonna find another Papoose. She's not gonna find another guy that's gonna cater to her as much as Papoose does, because she likes the power that she has over Papoose. And Papoose, he's in love, right? You've been with a girl for a very long time. You kind of really like her, so that girl have a hold on you or something like that, right? So if you spend any amount of time around that chick, she knows how to freaking pull your string and all that stuff. And that's what's going on with Papoose. So yeah, poor guy. No, not poor guy. I don't give it. Poor girl. Clarice, she's gonna get her heart broken, and she's trying really hard to actually make things work with Papoose, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So now we're done with the whole whatchamacallit. So we're done with the hip-hop news and everything like that. Now we're gonna address what's going on with Venezuela, right? Venezuela is a funny, interesting scenario, right? Because on one end, I can understand the escalation that's happening politically, right? Because I don't think Trump should have gone in there and kidnapped that mother, right? Although that was gangster as hell, right? Showed up, kidnap a president and everything like that. But that's dangerous. And we all know, we all still have PTSD from Iraq and Afghanistan, and we know how regime change can actually affect, the region on a political scale that's very negative, right? Because that's how we had all these migrants crisis that's going on in the Middle East. We have all these migrants going through Europe and all that stuff, right? Because of all the devastation that happened, the instability that happened in the Middle East. So then now, however, Venezuela was already unstable. Venezuela already had millions of people of their habitat, of their people leaving the country. Venezuela was a failed state. Now, this is the part when you be like, well, Venezuela would have worked out if it wasn't for the sanction and all that stuff, right? So, the sanction, did it play a role in it? Yeah. But how much did it actually play a role in it? Not that much, right? But because this is what happened. At some point, Venezuela was their GDP was freaking fantastic. They had the oil, they had all these corporations coming through, creating jobs and all that stuff. And then you had entrepreneur, they were creating businesses. So you had a healthy economic system. right? People had jobs. It wasn't the best. You still had like the elite system and everything like that, right? But shit was working. And of course, when it comes to socialism, equality is their Trojan horse. You know, they round up the population, letting them know that, hey, you don't have enough, right? Things should be better. You have all these billionaires eating well, looking fat on your dime, on our resources. Wouldn't it be better if we actually take those resources for ourselves? Wouldn't it be better? It's almost as if like I heard this before in a lot of democratic rhetoric. But anyway, so what they decided to do, they kicked out these gas companies, right? The Chevron, all these other places, right? They kicked them out. And then they took over the oil. Never mind, they actually built all these infrastructure to abstract the oil, right? All the contract and everything, because Venezuela was getting a piece of the action. They just wasn't the one that was in charge of the oil. So like, you know what? We're gonna nationalize our oil. We're gonna nationalize that shit. It's our shit. We're gonna take it over. Kick the companies out. And then they didn't stop there. Well, if you have a manufacturing company, if you have all these things, you know, you are a type of person, you are a millionaire or multi-millionaire, you are creating job for the Venezuelan people, they look at you like, how did you get that rich, huh? You know what? I'm taking that shit. So they started taking over property, they started taking over businesses, they started taking over farms, because these millionaires and billionaires, you know, they are stealing from the people. So what these people do, they're like, all right, you know what, you took my shit, I'm out of here. They left the country. And then you give the poor to manage those properties, those assets. Not really the poor, but people that have no business managing those assets. So they're gonna start effing shit up. And that's what happened. So the efficiency that used to make Venezuela run started to break down. So what happened when let's say engineer, they're getting their pay slashed, right? The production is down. And inflation started going like, over 100%, right? 200%, 300%. Like the inflation was so freaking bad. Like the money the Venezuelan money lost all its power. Let's say you get paid, before you know it, like, you can't buy nothing with the currency, right? So doctors or engineer, people that actually are able to make shit run, they're like, yo, I can make more money being a dishwasher in Miami than I can being a doctor in Venezuela. So what they start doing, they started leaving, right? So once these people start leaving, the people that actually create, the people that actually manage, the people that actually make the country work, it only goes worse from there. So what happened when the oil places start breaking down, right? Electricity, blackouts, and all these other things start happening, and then you have no one to be able to fix anything, to manage anything, so it gets worse, right? And then now you have election. When the election came through, this dude is like, I'm not giving you that spot, get the out of here, right? So then now he didn't remove himself from power, and then so twice he actually did that. So then now, once the oil wasn't really making him that much money anymore, so he's like, okay, well, what other resources can I use? Oh, I get it, I'm gonna be a drug dealer. So he actually, get a deal with the with the narcos and all that stuff, right? And so instead of enforcing drug laws, he became like a logistic thing for them, making sure that they know how to smuggle the drugs out of the country to get into the United States and all that stuff. And then all that shit worked when Biden was in office, because all you got from the Democrat is like a strong written letters. I'm very disappointed in you, Venezuela, for actually allowing fentanyl to come to our country, man. That is wrong of you, Venezuela. Meanwhile, thousands of Americans were dying from fentanyl overdose and all that stuff, right? And it's not like like a lot of time they actually knew what they were taking, because people would be like, hey, you know what, you need to let's say there's some Percocet, there's some this, there's some that, you go to a party and stuff like that, as teenagers do. You think you smoking something that's like, just get you high, and before you know it, you're done. So that was happening, and you have people that's like been overdosed, that were overdosed accidentally. You have like so many deaths that was taking place, and nobody wanted to talk about it. The mainstream media wasn't talking about it. None of these people wasn't really talking about it. And then now, so these people, so everything works under the Biden administration. But then when Trump came back to power again, he's like, nah, nigga, that's not happening. Right? So then what did he start doing? Start bombing the freaking the boats that was carrying the drugs, right? Enforcing the sanction that was already in place in Venezuela, because Venezuela was already destabilized. You have all these people leaving the country, so that create immigration crisis in the whole region. Whether it's whether it's Brazil, whether it's Peru, all these countries, they had to like take in all these refugees and all that stuff, and their infrastructure couldn't handle it. So then once Trump started blocking, enforcing the sanctions, started blocking those boats and everything like that, right? So then the house of cards starting to fall apart. Yeah, you have a military, you have like millions of people in your military, but what good does it do you if you can't pay them, right? Even when the drug money stopped, what are you gonna do? So they're not gonna be as loyal to you as they once was, because they were in it for the money. They were in it for the privilege of being able to rob their own community, their own people. So then once the wall started closing in, and all Trump had to do is just boop, snatch that nigga. And this dude did it without like no freaking no US personnel got killed in the process. I gotta say, that was freaking amazing, right? So then now, once you have that, and then now what happened? So you have like all the leftists coming through talking about like, hey, no, this is illegal, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And I don't know. Is it illegal? Is it illegal? Because when you have like, okay, so this dude already had a bounty on his head, right? Both administration, the Biden as well as Trump administration, right? They both said that he was an illegitimate president. So the only why you guys are mad because Trump enforced it, right? And you have to be skeptical, because I'm always skeptical when it comes to war. Could this shit turn left and goes pretty bad? Yes, it can be, right? However, I gotta look at it. What up? What up? How you doing? However, I gotta look at it from this perspective, right? It's not about, obviously, is it about the oil? There's some part to it, yes. It's about resources, yes, it is. Is it also about like enforcing the Monroe Doctrine, where you don't allow, let's say, China and Russia play in your own backyard? Yes. So the United States didn't just take Maduro out of the kindness of his heart. Nah, they did it because it actually benefit the United States. It benefit the United States when it comes to the fentanyl crisis, right? That's one less places that the drug is coming through. It benefits the United States by actually having access to their oil. So the companies that were kicked out, now they're gonna have the chance to go back in there, and then they're gonna use that oil money not only to build Venezuela, but to also benefit the United States and their market, right? So, but the thing that even all this, right? This is how I compare it to the people that's actually saying that, well, to the Venezuelan celebrating and all that stuff, right? You have no idea what you're celebrating. The U.S. is gonna take over your oil, blah, 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 as if the oil wasn't already being taken by, let's say, the Russia or China or Cuba and all those other places, right? So you're telling me all this time their president, their government had access to their oil, and yet their infrastructure was crumbling. Makes no sense. You think these people give a damn about the oil? They try to feed their family. They're like, yo, if you could take the oil and actually give me some food instead and actually fix my shit, I'll give it to you gladly. So then, of course, you have the, liberals and all that stuff, right? Talking about like, yo, these, America, they're stealing the oil, they're doing this, they're doing that. You Venezuelan, you have no idea what you're just talking about. As if the people don't live there. It's kind of like, let's say, you see somebody's getting their ass whooped, right? And then, let's say a woman getting her butt kicked by her husband. And then, like, the husband just beating the crap out of her and all that stuff, pimp slapping her and everything, right? And some dude came out of nowhere, and the dude that came out of nowhere had beef with the husband, be like, yo, nigga, didn't you owe me like $100? Get your ass over here, man. Start whooping the husband and everything like that, right? And then, you don't think the wife's gonna be happy about it? Be like, oh, thank you, Jesus. And then the liberals come through like, oh, sir, you have no right to beat up the husband. Can't you see that's between them two? The husband, and then the guy's like, I don't give a what? And that's what's going on here. Why am I being misogynist? I don't know. I guess I am. But yeah, so then you have like all these freaking like thing that's going on. Listen, at the end of the day, the Venezuelan people are happy that Maduro was removed. Right? Now, I'm still skeptical how it's going to play out, because there's a lot of moving parts here. There's going to be a lot, because these people, these these narcos, the cartels and everything like that, they're not going to go quietly, right? So will there be some escalations? Yes. But I think the way that Trump kind of does it is like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because he does the same thing with, like, he does it strategically and make you always tense. So he doesn't commit to something. He just like slap the crap out of you and then he'll back up. Right? Be like, what you gonna do? And then he like, what? I'm gonna retaliate. I'm gonna do this. All right, go ahead, do it. And then now you kind of come down because you know that you can't really retaliate. And then once you start having your guards down again, he just come through to slap you around again. Right? So that's how we dealt with Iran. That's how we dealt with a lot of these places. So therefore, he doesn't commit to the troops being harmed. He just does it. He does an operation. And then after that, he just stepped back. All right, now let's negotiate. Now you understand that I'm serious about what I want. Let's negotiate. Let's make a deal. And then all of that can go away. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. You know who it is. I'm your host, The Haitian. So share, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out of here. Peace.